What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News as we are approaching the finale of the preseason games happening on Saturday. And we've got good news today. Eze, Munoz, Lerma, and yes, Guehi is not reportedly, they are back in training. So everyone is officially back at Palace ahead of that preseason game, which is a positive. And I'm joined by T here because we've got a lot to talk about, as we've always been doing recently with these Palace News episodes. We've got Chalobah, new Chalobah links. And the question is, Lacroix or Chalobah? Who would we rather prefer? I think there's pros and cons to both players, but we'll be discussing that. Latest on Jezza and Rak-Sakyi, of course, and there's plenty more. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section, in the live comment section, and in the comment section down below if you're watching on replay. T, what's going on? What's going on? How you feeling? How was it yesterday?
It was good, man. It was good. You know, it's always a good time when I get to hang out and talk ball with the guy Patrick. So it was good, man. Good show. Everybody was good. The chat was on their stuff. You know, big teams. You know what I'm saying?
Big teams. By the way, I just have to quickly say before we do get started, my life has changed. Not because anything drastically has happened, but I never realized my camera actually had a stand. So all these years, I've been putting my camera. I wish I could show you the camera, but I can't. But all these years, I've been putting it on top of my laptop, and every time I move my laptop, the camera will move. But now, that's not happening. I can just do whatever I want.
Because you actually stand that you never knew you had.
Never knew that. And I've had this camera for about 3 to 4 years. I must have had it for at least 3 to 4 years. As I was setting up here, I was like, hold up, why is the leg coming? What? There's a leg. And now, look, it's just stable. It's stable.
It looked like you're in a brand new room, too. Your whole new setup. Like, yeah.
My life changing. By the way, for the audio, how do I sound? I know we haven't had any.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I got that same mic at the crib. The Yeti.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good. Today, I'm happy. I'm a happy man after discovering that after like three years or more of owning the camera. But what's going on, everyone? Let me look through the chat. Hopefully you're all well. Animals saying, well, go on, Damo. What's going on? Smash the likes. Listen to Chloe. Smash the likes, people.
For sure. You can. Listen to Chloe.
Help us out massively. We are very close to 5,000 subscribers and growing this community by the day. So thank you to every single one of you as well. That mic looks big. This mic's been here for ages. The problem is I couldn't really have it in front of me because the camera and the laptop set up. But now, yeah, look, the camera's here.
A little bit different.
Nothing's changed. Nothing's actually changed. I've got the same setup.
But I don't know, bro. The background looked real nice. You got the little plant over the shoulder. Looks at the Harman Kardon speaker. Like,
I'm in Soho right now in the Palace offices doing the Palace News.
See, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Coming right from the HQ. I'm joking, by the way, before anyone believes me. Let's start off with the news. As you can see from the title, the question is Chalobah or Lacroix as Guehi's replacement. And the reason for that is because Chalobah has once again been mentioned officially by Matt Law, the Daily Telegraph journalist. He's saying the following. He said that Crystal Palace are eyeing up Trevor Chalobah as a Guehi replacement. Chelsea value Chalobah at around £25 million. Was it with you that we spoke about this, saying that Chalobah could be a potential shout? Maybe we didn't talk about it on air. I can't remember. It might be
we chatted about it, and then I actually said it to Patrick yesterday. That like we talked about, you know, possible replacements and things, and it was Lacroix and it was Chalobah. For me, those were the two that came to mind. But yeah, we have chatted about it before.
Yeah, and Chalobah, I think when we spoke about previously as well, I think Chalobah makes a lot of sense for different reasons because Chelsea have basically shot themselves in the foot in a way by not allowing him to go on the preseason tour. It's kind of, you know, given the hopes of other clubs potentially getting a better deal out of him, they kind of made it obvious that they don't want the player, and the player, of course, is going to want to move on now at this point if they're not going to include him in any games team. But quickly, before we talk about the question and go through pros and cons for both players, just your thoughts on Chalobah being linked for around £25 million.
I mean, it's a good link, especially with the market for center backs. I mean, I feel like a lot of teams a la what Newcastle's going through right now with us in negotiations, are paying a ton more for really talented center backs right now. So a guy like Chalobah, with his pedigree, where he's come from, his experience, 25 years old, you know, 25 or 25 mil, that's not a bad price. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, I mean, I just did think now it's kind of like the weighing out of, like you said, the pros and cons between him and like a Maxence Lacroix, and what we feel like might be a better fit for us.
Yeah, and this is the reason why I was not worried about Guehi leaving if he does end up leaving, which is looking more than likely based on reports. But today he has actually come to training, which is expected, I guess, because until anything's official, I expect him to come and train with Palace. You never know; these deals could always collapse, and it would make no sense for him to keep him away from the squad, especially if he's been a professional so far. If he doesn't want to sign a new contract, that doesn't mean that he's not professional. That's his, that's
right. It's just a
within his
situation.
yeah, exactly. But I think Chalobah, for me, T, gives you that. I mean, I've always been a fan of Lacroix coming to Palace. I've said it. He's an exciting player, and I think it fits perfectly in terms of what we want. Only 24, if we're looking at rooms for development. I mean, he can still offer that. He can still develop as a player and prove himself. Over 100 league games in the Bundesliga. Has played under Oliver Glasner before. So I think it makes a lot of sense. But however, for Chalobah as well, get involved in the chat. Let me know what you think. This is a player that's played in the Premier League. This is a player that a lot of Chelsea fans are saying are better than the current centre-back options that they have at the football club. And he's also another young player as well. So between picking the two, who do you personally lean more towards?
Personally, I think I lean more towards Lacroix at this point. Here's why. Here's why. It's two main things that I guess the two main things that differ from Chalobah that make the difference for me. Number one is the fact that he's played in Oliver Glasner's system. That means he can come in and immediately contribute in the way that we need him to. The other thing is that he'll be less expensive than Chalobah. I mean, we talked about at the beginning how good of a price it is for Chalobah if we're looking into getting him. Lacroix is an even better price point because of the fact that he's in a contract year with a value. His value is at the same amount that they're asking for Chalobah, except the fact that he's going into a contract year. So we stand to get him at a cut rate price. Now we're talking in the range of, if you're talking euros, maybe 18 euros. Talking pounds, we're right around like 15, 16 million pounds. So in this situation, if you can give me a Maxence Lacroix for 10 million pounds less than what we would have to pay for a Trevor Chalobah, I'm going to take Lacroix and hold my 10 million rather than taking Chalobah. Because think about it, we 10 million. We spent less than that to get a guy like Munoz in the squad. So think about what that 10 million could do for you too.
Yeah, I understand that, T, but we do have money. When we're talking about 10 million or so, I mean, that shouldn't really be a problem. Ideally, we want the best player possible. And you are mentioning that Lacroix has played under Oliver Glasner, but the reason why Chalobah could cost a bit extra is because he has played in the Premier League. So when you're looking at the pros and cons, don't you think that £10 million extra for a player that's played in the Premier League is worth it?
Sort of. I mean, you definitely could view it that way, or you could view it as, let's say, I could use that 10 million to bring in another player too, so I could get two players for the price of this one player. So I guess it's really, like I say, it's very much open to interpretation and very much how they value it. Because just because you have money doesn't mean you have to just spend it in a certain way. You know what I mean? Obviously, you want to try to maximize your profit and your return. So it's like, having that, if 25 million is the number, and you're telling me I can get two first team players, high level first team players, 25 million comparatively to one, depending on how I view that and how I view those players, maybe it's something I want to do. But at the same time, like you said, if there is a high value placed on that player having that Premier League experience, and like I said earlier, the pedigree, maybe the pedigree is worth that 10 million bump, and you make the move. That's why I think either way, I don't have a problem with it. But it's just I think there's just different ways of looking at this because they both have played uh, big time football. Bundesliga to Premier League. They both also played in high level European competitions too. So it kind of depends on how you look at it because maybe the fact that Lacroix has played in the Champions League before, so maybe his Champions League experience kind of cancels out that he's played in the Premier League experience. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I don't
yeah. I
know.
mean, yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah. Lacroix. As I said, there's pros and cons to both
Yeah,
players, and
definitely.
and genuinely don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think everyone has a point for whatever player that they want, and that's a
Yep.
good thing about it. And when it
Yep.
comes down to the defense, I do think that the defense and replacing defenders should be easier than replacing creative attackers.
Hmm.
So we haven't really struggled in that department as well. So they're both very good players. There are other players that haven't been mentioned as well. Well, recently they've been mentioned in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if those names get you know come all of a sudden back
Yep.
to the radar. So yeah, look, I do like Chalobah. For me, it's very it's very hard to pick. I think it all depends on Glasner in terms of what he wants because
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
not saying this scenario is going to happen, but there could also be a scenario of Doug Friedman preferring Chalobah and
Yep.
Glasner preferring Lacroix. I mean, what do we
Which
do in
which
that
makes which will
situation?
make it very difficult at that point.
Yeah, what do you think? I'm not saying this happened, but if that situation was happen, what do you think we should? Who do you think we should go with? Because Doug Friedman, who's been fantastic with his recruitment, Glasner, who has a particular system, Lacroix knows how to play in that system. I guess Chalobah's played in the back three as well for Chelsea, so it'll be hard. But who would you rather lean more towards if that scenario did happen, which I'm not saying is the case right now?
In this situation, I would lean towards Dougie.
Mm,
Only because of the two, Dougie stands to be in more of a long term position for us. You know, naturally, we see that managers move and matriculate a lot more often than some of the front office people do.
mm.
But we can also see. I mean, we don't know what the structure, the dynamic looks like. It could look like there may be a built-in understanding of who gets to say. You know, or it could be a hey, if you got one that you like and I got one that I like and we can't agree on it, we go to the third. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's like okay, I want Chalobah, you want Lacroix. We can't decide between the two. Boom, we put them out the way. Let's find another guy that we can agree on.
And people are asking about Mateta. We're going to be talking about Mateta next because there is an update on his contract situation. I forgot to mention that at the start of the show. And also, there's an update on Sam Johnstone as well, who's been rumored away. So stay tuned for that. Don't worry, there's more to talk about than just the defense today. As always, if you're enjoying the stream, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you to every single one of you that have.
Absolutely.
Mateta, people talk about Mateta. I don't know why we're going to Mateta. Colin saying, understand Glasner is very much involved with Dougie with transfers, so would have thought Glasner would have given him his first, second, and third choice players. Yeah, look, I think they both
And
work
there's
well
probably a way that they've
together.
done it. Yeah,
Yeah,
like I
I
said,
mean,
they,
we're
they
as
they've got
fans,
a big board of guys. Like you gotta
yeah,
understand that in somebody's
exactly.
office, there's a big matrix board of players across every single position on the pitch, and multitudes of players for different scenarios. Like this is their job. This is what they do.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an extremely in-depth process as far as who they have targeted for what situations and what scenarios.
Yeah. And I have no worries about that. But the good thing is, here as fans, we can have our own discussion. They'll, of course,
Exactly.
they're on football club, but
And it's
that's
always fun when ours like end up
exactly.
matching what they're
Just to
doing.
see, and some people are preferring Lacroix. I've seen Chalobah, so it's mixed as expected
Yep.
because they're very good players with high potential. But let's move on to the next player. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about Mateta now, who has been. rumored away a few times, especially to Aston Villa due to his contract situation. However, from Matt Woosnam, there is an update, of course, the Palace journal for the Athletic. He's saying he has said the following. He said that Jean-Philippe Mateta has 2 years remaining on his existing deal and an option for a further year. Mateta is not in a strong negotiating position despite his form and interest. I mean, we've known about the 2-year contract and potentially him not wanting to sign it, but an
Mhm.
option of a further year. That kind of changes things now, doesn't
It
it?
does massively. It massively changes. It will. It massively changes things for the present day right now this summer
Mm.
because for all intents and purposes he has a 3-year deal. He has 3 years left on his deal. So at that point, and what the article has read and said is that he doesn't have much negotiating power now. He doesn't have
Mm.
much power and much things to stand on, and that's probably why he walked away from negotiations because there probably wasn't much he could do at this point. You know, so being that he's got 3 years left, I think Palace definitely has the upper hand in negotiations as far as an extension, and we'll probably maybe see that later on. It's kind of like what I remember at towards the end of the season we talked about should he be getting the extension now, and one of the things I said was I would like to see him perform more and play more into the next season because the last thing you want to do is give him a fat extension in the off season. He gets comfortable and comes in and lays a dud at the beginning of next season. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like, maybe let him play into the season a little bit, show that, as people call it, it's not a purple patch necessarily. And then at that point, with Palace having that type of control in the negotiations, then maybe they can agree on a negotiation. But I don't think we'll see Mateta have the type of power that he's hoping for this year until probably this time next year when he's going into that that second to last year of the contract, similar to the kind of the situation we're in with Mark Guehi right now.
Yeah, yeah. And the question from Warren, which if you have any questions, put a Q and a dot before them and we will answer them typically towards the end of the show. But if it's related, as this question is, we'll go through it right now. Warren is saying, is that extra year a club option or player?
Club.
I assume it will be a club option
It
because
was
that
club
is
option.
why he's not in a strong negotiating position. If it was a play option, of course, that really doesn't change things for us. But I mean, basically, we can have Mateta for 3 more years. So
Yeah.
saying that, all
Mm-hmm.
these Aston Villa rumors and him being potentially linked to clubs over in Italy,
Yep.
are you a bit more comfortable now with him potentially having a 3-year deal rather than 2 years?
Definitely more comfortable. I guess definitely more comfortable in the sense that I know he's going to be with us for at least one more year.
Hmm.
Things may change without that extension. Uh, Things may change next summer, but definitely more comfortable with understanding we're going to keep him
Yeah.
for this coming year.
Yeah, and right now, I do know like he's been scoring goals left, right, center, and it's been fantastic for us. But we also hope that he continues that next season at the start of next season, which I think he will, because I mean he's been just banging in the goals. He's been confident. The
Mm-hmm.
funny situation is that the player who has been assisting him is Michael Olise of Bayern Munich now. So
Yeah,
if they
Bayern
get
Munich,
one
Michael Elise out there performing at the Olympics. That's
exactly.
that's that Bayern Munich,
And in
Michael
fact, he
Elise.
scored a
That's not
header
the
from a
Crystal
corner as
Palace
well.
one.
To
Oh
rub
yeah.
the salt in the wounds, he literally scored a header from a corner.
I don't
And I
think
think
I
it
don't
was
think he
Elise
scored
who
a
took the
header for
corner.
us at any point in his time.
Exactly, exactly. It'll be very hard to replace Mateta right now due to the market being shocking. So yeah, that is good news for us. JPM is the form striker in Europe. Let him cook next season, then we can talk. Andrew saying, I'd be gutted if we saw the big man. So hard to find a striker who's banging in the goals. Plus, nobody rocks the tucked in shirt better than JP. Eva saying we need Lacroix. He finished fifth fastest player in Bundesliga. He'll be useful in Glasner system.
Fifth fastest
Um,
as a center back is crazy.
yeah. Hills are
That's
saying
nuts.
Villa. I mean, we've seen it this season, well, last season, anyways, for Tottenham, Van der Ven, in terms of like strikers struggling to beat
Yeah,
for pace.
he
It
can
comes very
move.
good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very good skill to have. Hills are saying Villa were punching well above the weight last season. Can't see them doing anything in the Champions League or finishing near the top four this season. Don't know why I'd want to go there. I mean, now I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about Mateta potentially leaving, especially if we have another option to extend his
Mhm.
contract by a year. So yeah, that's all positive news, and hopefully these news about him leaving the club potentially and Villa pushing for him now just slowly die down, so that can be ticked off the list as well. If you're enjoying the stream, people, before we move on to the next bit of news, please hit the like button, subscribe as well, and get involved in the chat as well. Thanks to every single one of you that's been doing that. Let's move on to Sam Johnstone now. David Ornstein has reported the following. Of course, we've known that Sam Johnstone has been linked with a move away from the club from various different sources that we've talked about on here, but Ornstein has dropped the bomb. Well, it seems like whenever David Ornstein drops a bomb, it's more negative than positive for us. Well, it depends. I mean, more players leaving than coming in. But he has said the following, that Crystal Palace are ready to sanction Sam Johnstone exit after the goalkeeper has asked to go. The 31-year-old relayed the decision on the tour, which is a US tour, of course. The club will help if enough time plus acceptable offer. Crystal Palace, which is a big part of this now story, want £10 million for the England international. Lots of Premier League clubs are interested. I believe Wolves, Forest, Southampton, amongst the names. It's £10 million. Sam Johnstone. Are you surprised with the figure? I thought it might have been around 15.
At first, I was a little, I wouldn't say, kind of like surprised almost to say. I thought we would probably price him out a little bit higher. But at the same time, I had to think about it. We got him for free. So if you get 10 million for him, we literally made 10 times the profit. But at the same time, what they could be doing, D, is you set the price to where it's extremely affordable. And then what happens? Multiple teams are interested and it becomes a bidding war. So, yeah, we might say that we're looking for 10 million, but then when it comes out that Wolves, Forest, as well as Southampton have all been willing to add to go for 10, or maybe one goes 10, one goes 12, one now gets up to 15. We find ourselves maybe getting in a bidding war and seeing them move for like 15 to 20. Who knows?
Yeah, look, it's great profit to have, of course, because we did get him for nothing. But saying that, the reason why I did ask about that figure is what Palace 1439 is saying here. He's saying Super Sam is worth more than £10 million, got to be 15 minimum. He's an England international. Bring on a bidding war. So he agrees with it there. But look, he's an England international. And plus, we've seen how good it can be. Even right now, there are people saying that I would rather have Sam Johnstone starting over Dean Henderson. I think the problem is not that Sam Johnstone is a bad goalie. We just have to make a decision on the two, and we prefer as a football club to have Dean Henderson as our number one rather than Sam Johnstone, and that is why he's leaving. So I think £10 million for whatever club who wants to buy him is fantastic bit of business for them, because I think they're signing a genuinely good goalie. But saying that, look, as I listed for the reasons below, England international, maybe he's 31-year-old, which is not too old anyways.
Not for a goalkeeper, no.
Exactly. Maybe 15 would have been nice, but then again, a bidding war could potentially happen. Ideally, what we're doing is all along, and this was going to be the case.
One of them was going to move.
We knew. He was going to leave.
Yeah.
We're basically swapping them. them. I mean, how much should we get Henderson for?
20?
Around 15, 20. Exactly, 15, 20. So paying £10 million for Dean Henderson. And
I mean, Dean Henderson's, I think, 3 or 4 years younger.
Yeah.
He's an active English international. And I feel like the argument between whether you like Johnstone or whether you like Henderson is a lot of it depends on what you want to be a paramount quality in your goalkeeper. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Johnstone's a better shot stopper. Like, he's going to make some amazing saves. He's going to keep the goal count down. But I think a lot of people like Henderson because Henderson's going to have better distribution from in between the sticks. And obviously for Glasner, that might be the piece that is really putting him over the top. Is because of the fact that he's told Sam Johnstone that Henderson is going to be the starter moving forward. Here's why. And I'm sure that, the distribution probably has something to do with that.
Yeah. Andrew's saying understand his reason for first team football, but with Hendo's history for injury, I wouldn't be so quick to move on. If he was to leave T, we would
Mm-hmm.
have to sign a replacement, and I think we will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We will.
And at the same time, I don't think like this one of those things you don't sanction that move like we're seeing that we're sanctioning the move. You don't sanction that move unless you have once again your war room's got the board full of guys. You got option A, B, C, and D up there that you understand. These are the guys that you're going to target in the event that Sam Johnston agrees to move elsewhere. So it might be the kid from Plymouth,
He's
Michael
been mentioned
Cooper.
in the chat a few times. I don't know if
Yeah,
anything's official about that. I mean, where has that come from?
I've
What is
seen.
it?
I've actually seen some journal reports saying that we're interested in him. I've seen that, but and the fact that he would only cost us like around like 4 million, which
Yeah.
is great. I mean, if you move Johnston for 10, 15, whatever it is, and you bring in a worthy backup that's young, I think he's only 24 for only 4 million. So I've heard about him. Um, I've heard fans talk about the kid from Sunderland. I think I
Yeah, I
don't know a
mean, there's
lot
been a
about
few names
him,
that's been
but
mentioned, but I think, yeah, as a report suggested, like Palace are looking. This is what David Ornstein said. He said that club will help if enough time. So the quicker
mm-hmm,
it's done, the quicker teams are serious, then I think we'll be happier to sanction. I don't think we'll sanction a deadline day move for Sam Johnston to leave the football club. So as expected, he he should leave. He will leave. He wants first team football. So let's see over the next few weeks if we can get that deal sorted for around £10 million. You would
mm-hmm,
think someone would be willing to pay that, especially with the market how it is today. That money shouldn't be much of a concern.
right.
Um,
I just want to address this real quick before we move on from Palace 1439. I wasn't necessarily saying that Henderson is better. I was just making the comparison that there has to be a reason for them picking him, and that was kind of the example. You know what I mean? Although I will say the pass that Henderson had to IU in the preseason
yeah,
that
for that
ended up being
assist
this, I've
in the
never seen Sam Johnson do anything close to that. But
week.
I digress.
Mm. And just quickly before we move on from the goalie news, let's bring up this comment because it is a very interesting one. Saying we shouldn't sign a young keeper as they might block Joe Whitworth's pathway, says Callum CPFC.
And I
Is that a
understand that
concern?
too. I understand that too fully. And honestly, Callum, I think Joe Whitworth is the lesser of the two goalkeepers that we have, the young guys. I think Goodman's going to be better than him, if I'm being
Mm.
completely honest with you. But you make a great point. If you bring in a guy like a Cooper or the younger guy, I think Patterson is his last name from Sunderland. You bring in one of those guys; those are young guys, so they could possibly block the path of a Whitworth or a Goodman. Or how do you see it? Or do you see it as possibly the fact that after this year, now you got to worry about whether Dean Henderson gets moved? Because if Dean Henderson balls out, people are going to be wanting to see him. So then now you've got 3 young goalkeepers in place that could matriculate up to the first team. So it's a lot of things it could go different ways, I feel like.
Yeah, it could. But yeah, I expect him to leave anyways. And Sam Johnson, that is. Let's move on to the final bit of news that's come out today. As always, if you're enjoying it, hit the like button and also send in your questions. There's a lot of questions that's been coming through. We have been pinning them and we'll be answering them after we talk about the next topic, which I'll be honest to you, I'm getting tired of. I'm getting tired of talking about this topic, and that is on Jean Rak-Sakyi.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason
Yep.
why I am is because a narrative that's been around this, you'd think like we're talking about like an Eze type of player or Elise, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like the Rak-Sakyi drama, it's just been going on and on. Just let him go out on loan. Let him go out on loan. But anyways, let's talk about the actual news that's come out, and that is from Foot Insider. He's saying that understand Sheffield United are in a poor position to win the race to sign Crystal Palace winger Jerzy Rak-Sakyi on loan. To QPR, many other championship clubs, you mentioned that you would have preferred him to move to QPR because that's a London football, club based in London. But it seems like Sheffield United might be winning the race. We just have to get this done sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah, I think you got to just get them. I think you got to get the move done because the championship starts this weekend. Like they're in the midst of it. Like, so he's not going to get any preseason at all. Like, Jez is going to have to go and play.
Mm.
This is how it's going to have to be. So it's definitely sooner rather than later for his move. I was a fan of the QPR move because it's in London. We can be able to check in on him a little bit easier. I like their manager with him and their system. But with Sheffield's probably got the money to meet all of the finances that we're looking to get, whether it be the loan fee or covering his wages. And who knows? I mean, maybe he'll do well in that system for them. But at this point, yeah, I think we just need to come to some type of conclusion for him and get him on his way so that he can really bed in and be successful. Because I think the longer we wait, I think the more it kind of can affect the type of success he can have overall, to be honest with you.
And there is an update, I believe, from Alan Nixon whilst we were on live, and he said the following: that Sheffield United are meeting the demands of Crystal Palace. Loan fee demands for
And
the
wages.
will be around a 7-figure to get the
Mm-hmm.
21-year-old on loan. So we'll be getting a loan fee. Wages should be covered. I don't know how true the story is, but potentially he might get a bumper pay rise from Sheffield United. Sheffield United really do want him. So
Yep.
based on that, if they're going to play him week in, week out, if they're willing to go and meet those demands and maybe go beyond that to attract Jordan Rak-Sakyi, then that's a good move. That's a good move for him. And they have developed a few youngsters. I mean, there's a few youngsters from City, that Chelsea, etc. That's going Sheffield
Yeah, I
United.
mean, if you think about, McAtee and how
Yeah,
well he played at Sheffield on loan,
yeah.
um, if if we get the same amount of buy-in from them as far as playing time and things like that, I think Jez could be unreal with Sheffield.
Exactly, exactly. So it's not like a club that have not helped develop younger players. They have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
be a good move there. No option to buy, right? No, we don't believe there'll be an option to buy.
No, 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 no.
Yeah. So yeah, it should be a good move. It should be a good move for him, and hopefully it's done this week because boy, we've been talking about Rak-Sakyi for the longest. I mean, we've
Yep.
spoke about Rak-Sakyi more than we spoke about Guehi, Eze, and even Elise to a certain degree. I mean, Elise
Yeah,
happened fairly quick.
because Rak-Sakyi has definitely been a saga, and Rak-Sakyi has been his own transfer saga from
Yeah,
us
from
from us deciding whether or not to loan him or keep him, to then whether we loan him or sell him, to then hey, we're going to keep him, to him not showing up on the tour at first, to wondering if he's forcing his way out, to find out he was sick, to now him coming on the tour and not playing. And then it's like, okay, he can go on loan. And now we're trying to figure out where he's going to go. So, like, man, there has been chapters to that story by itself.
just end the story. End the story. The story's been going on for too long. Like end the film. It's done. We're just like we've seen the
Finn.
plot. Like exactly, it should be finished. It should be finished now. It's been far too long. But
Yeah.
hopefully it will be finished this week, as he's mentioned. The championship is starting now. Let's go through some questions. If you have any questions, put a Q and a dot before it, and we will answer them before we wrap up today. Let's start off with all these questions saying, how do you think Eddie does this season? He's been another player T that's been rumored to be potentially leaving the club, even though that's quieting down a bit. And to be fair, in preseason he's been good. Are you hopeful of him having a good season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful of him having a good season. I mean, I think at this point, the one thing I would hope for is if he decides to stay and we don't move him, that we get him extended, that we get his extension worked out. And if Edouard's able to stay healthy and be available, I think he could be a 7 to 10 goal guy for us. I mean, we saw him get 7 goals last season, and that was with some extended time out of the team. You know, he could be an extremely bright piece for us moving forward. I mean, because he honestly will be one of the best reserve center forwards in the Premier League. To be quite honest, I think.
Yeah, and if as long as Glasner sees a future in him, then that's all that matters. But for me, I have asked whether he can fit into the system, and maybe he just needs a bit of time. So
I mean,
yeah,
he
let's see.
needed time to adjust. He needed time to adjust when he was here with Roy. He needed time to adjust when he was with Patrick Vieira, and maybe he said the same thing with Glasner. Because the one thing that you can say about him that was true is that once he adjusted to all the systems that he's been in, you saw a marked improvement in his play. The problem came when he got hurt after he made the improvement. He
Yeah.
had the setback and he would be out. And then it just so happened that this last time he had the setback, Mateta rose to prominence to a point where he was undeniable and you couldn't take him out of the lineup even when Edward got back healthy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's never really been a bad player. He's scored goals, but yeah, it's just weird. His pass career just been just confusing.
Up and
Uh,
down. It's been hills and valleys.
yeah, literally. Henry saying who's more important to the team, Mateta or Eze? That's a good question.
That's a very good
Very good
question.
question.
Um, I mean, me personally, I say Eze. What do you think?
The question that the thing that's in my head right now is there are creative players out there, and Eze is very important to us. Don't get me wrong. I would hate to lose Eze this season. It's even crazy coming from me, especially what I've said over the years about Mateta. But how many goal scorers are out there right now that's performing on a similar level to Mateta?
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
the
that's a great point. I mean, I
kind of.
mean, he's the hottest and most informed striker in Europe
But
right
then
now.
Eze is,
I don't think anybody would disagree with you. You know what I
but
mean?
then again,
But
Eze.
Eze is just as hot of property when it comes to creative ability. His goal scoring is up there too. You know, don't get it twisted. The reason why I said Eze though too is because of I think his identity to
Mm,
the team.
yeah,
Like he's very much like the way that Wilf was very much like Palace. He
it's becoming
identified.
unplaceable. Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's definitely what Eze is too. So that was what really swung it for me to go that direction with him.
yeah. Oli Khan saying, who should we sign as a backup? Did we loan out Goodman and Whitworth too soon? I mean, we'll sign someone as a backup. That's not a problem
Yeah,
in
I mean
terms
that's
of
not a
bringing
problem.
in
We'll find
Vieira.
the backup. We'll find the
Yeah,
backup for
it
sure.
seems like it might be a younger option right now based on reports and rumors, but only time will tell. So let's see if Sam Johnson does end up leaving, anyways. Evan saying, would you rather have not let Owen Goodman leave to keep him as a backup? I mean, keeping players as backup, especially goalies, there's pros and cons to it, but the biggest con is they're just going to be
He's
sitting
not
on the bench.
playing. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna be
you're not
sitting on
going
the
to develop
bench.
him. Yeah,
And
he's
he's
still
not
young
gonna develop
goalie.
the way that you want to. Like so I get that choice for sure.
Mm.
As long as we're not scalping ourselves of talent with of bodies to be able, because it got bad for us at one point when we had all those injuries. When Henderson was out, when Johnston was out, and Remy Matthews was was it Saint something over in
Yeah,
Scotland,
St.
and
Johnston.
then Saint Johnston or something like that, and lo and behold, you're playing a high level match, and Joe
Remy Matthews.
Whitworth is no
Yeah,
Joe Whitworth was in the stick. It's like
Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But he performed well though.
But
He
he played
performed well.
well. But he
Yeah,
played
yeah, he did.
well. You know
He
what I'm
did.
saying?
He did.
So
He did. But yeah, of course, they both deserve to play games, especially at a young age.
yeah,
Animal saying, who's your preferred replacement for Johnson? I'm not even going to lie. I don't have one. I don't even. I don't
yeah. I
know.
mean, I don't like. I haven't. I would be honest in saying
For
that
second choice goalie, it's very hard to say who I'd want for second choice goalie.
having Henderson and having Johnston in those positions, I haven't been doing a ton of research on goalkeepers to
Mm,
even think about who we would want to bring in.
yeah.
I mean, I have done some research on the Michael Cooper kid since I've seen him being rumored, and he's a good option. I think it just depends on like we talked about how they view the development of those other young guys and whether or not somebody like Dean Henderson is going to want to stay with us long term.
Yeah. And once more names are mentioned, then we can talk about who's the preferred replacement because right now it's just still so raw. Like we don't really know who's actually a serious candidate out there that the club want to replace Sam Johnstone. Mark saying, is there much information on a return for France? I believe he was in training
He
today.
trained today.
Yeah,
He trained in full with the team today, apparently. So
yeah.
there's some good information about it. You know,
Exactly. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't know the situation, but if he features in the last preseason game this Saturday,
very
then
good
that will
sign.
be a positive. Then that will be a
Very good
positive.
sign.
But yeah, exactly. And Evan saying the same. I think France could be on the bench for that preseason game. But yeah, let's see. Mukhtar saying, how many goals will Mateta get without Elise?
I still think he'll get a lot. I mean, because you still got really good guys in the squad that can feed him the ball. You still got
Mm,
Eze. Kamada has shown that he's a really good passer. Um, Sar is a good passer. We know Wharton can put some of the most beautiful passes into the final third. Like that's one of his really good assets. And then you bring in back a guy like Decore who does really well with not only breaking up play but also progressing the ball. So
mm.
um, I think that it'll definitely be different, but I definitely think he'll still get good service and good opportunity.
Yeah, it pretty much, yeah. For me, it pretty much just depends on the service, and I think the question is, can Kamada give him the service, because that is right now looking like the replacement for Elise at this current moment of time, unless another attacker joins. And I think he will be able to. I think Kamada's a very good player, so I reckon he'll still his target should be around 15 minimum if he wants to be
Mm-hmm.
that guy. If he wants to be that guy, and I think he can, if he can, as long as we assist him. Mateta and Eze will stay. Everything else is being arranged and will fall into place. Oli saying, do we think France has a breakout season? And there are people who's written off France as well. Like some people are just a bit worried about whether they can step up, injuries
Yeah,
and performances,
forgotten man
etc.
syndrome a little bit. I feel like people. I don't know. Like I get when a player just doesn't perform on the pitch, but
Mm,
when you've got a 20-year-old kid who or 19-year-old kid at the time dealing with a pretty decent, pretty significant injury, not being able to make appearances, and saying, "Oh, he's not good enough," or he's not performing on the pitch, he's not doing what he needs to do. It's like I don't think that's true. I don't think he's truly had enough of a chance to perform out there just yet. Especially because when we had Roy Hodgson, you were hardly seeing him anyway when he was getting out there. But in the limited time that we saw him under Glasner, he looked really good.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And as I've said with France, I mean, injuries, going to a new country. I mean, Hodgson wasn't great for him as well. Yeah, don't write him off. And I think that's the player to look forward to next season. So yeah. Jack saying, did we really need to buy Saar? Could we have not used Kamada as a starter and Rak-Sakyi as backup, or brought a younger player with higher potential for Elise? With Saar, he can play up front and he can play um, out wide or as a forward.
Mhm.
So I mean, he's a versatile player, and that's what we need at this current moment of time. So yeah,
And the
we can
thing
still
with
buy another one for
Rak-Sakyi
them with
probably was the
Rak-Sakyi going
fact
out
that we wanted him to play more. We wanted him to play week in and week out. And if he was in that situation where he's backing up Kamada, that wouldn't have been the case for him.
there.
And it
Yeah.
might have been a little bit too similar to what we saw last season, where he was only going to get a limited amount of appearances. We want him to play at a high level, play a lot, and see what he can do. Um, so I mean, I like the move. I like what we did as far as bringing in a guy like Sar, and then finding a quality low move for Jez. To be honest with you.
Mukhtar saying people are underestimating Saar. I remember Mukhtar said to me in the comment section down below, he said, nothing. Saar will be 10 out of 10. So yeah, I mean, let's see. Mukhtar's very excited about Saar, and he's a good player. So
Yeah.
let's see if he performs to the levels. Andrew saying, what position do you think Glasner will use at Hamada this season? Hamada's a
Um.
weird one.
Yeah. I mean, the thing
10
about it,
midfield.
they taught. I heard the rumors and like the picture, like, oh, he's playing right wing back. No, he was actually playing in the 10 position, which
Mm,
we've seen him play before. He just happened to be out wide. Uh, on that particular photo that was taken. But I still think he operates in the midfield between that 10 and that 8 position. The thing is, I just don't think he's going to play very much with the
I don't
guys
know
that
though,
are out
because
there.
he played him last season when he wasn't performing well.
But I
Also,
mean, there's more.
another
But
thing
there's
that
there's
Lava
more. I feel
is
like
not
there's more
beginning.
depth now, though.
Well, I don't think he'll be playing in midfield. I think the midfield is sorted, especially with depth. And I think I don't know where Ahmada fits into midfield. I'd be surprised if he goes there. But down the right hand side, as a number 10 option, I think there is an opportunity there with Saar being an option up front as well. So potentially he might, let's say Saar was to go up front, potentially he might be that player that Rak-Sakyi could have been this season, and he comes off the bench to maybe replace Kamada if he needs replacing. So it might be limited, but I think there's more of an option of him playing as a number 10 rather than a midfielder, especially down the right hand side. So yeah, I do think he'll be playing as a 10. Look, people, we're going to wrap it up here. If you have enjoyed this, like, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you to every single one of you that's tuned in live. If you just joined us now, go to the start of the stream to catch up on all the latest Palace news and let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's it from me and T. And until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.